Hi, I'm Catherine McQueen. Today I'm joined by Rachel Neiman and Marianne Calder, one of our judges for the Future Stars of Tech Awards. Rachel, Marianne, why don't you introduce yourselves?
Hello, I'm Rachel Neiman. I've been working in tech for over 25 years in the public, private and not-for-profit sectors, most recently as Chief Executive and as a Non-Executive Director.
And I'm Marianne Calder. I'm the MD and VP for Puppet here in EMEA. I've been in tech as well for over 20 years, long career as well with Cisco, and always been very involved and passionate about diversity. So thrilled to be here today.
Well, that's what we're here to talk about, diversity. Both of you have been involved in diversity initiatives and organisations for a while. What have you seen in terms of industry best practices? Rachel, maybe you could kick us off here.
One of the most important things, I think, in terms of ensuring diversity within an organisation is to really embed it in the business strategy. So this isn't something that can just be left to HR teams, this isn't something that is just an add-on, but it needs to be absolutely part of the business strategy and owned from the executive team downwards.
Marianne, Puppet is known for its diversity. How has Puppet made it work?
Yeah, so I think Rachel put it really well. It has to be a strategic priority. Today we have 30% of our workforce is diverse, actually 40% here in EMEA, which I'm very proud of. And it has to be driven from the top. From the leadership perspective, it's a leadership priority. Just like any other transformational project, it has to be driven with the same level of rigor and also same level of leadership throughout as well.
And what's the sort of normal figures for the industry if you're 30% here?
So I would say that for the industry, I guess it depends a lot on what you're looking at, but in terms of entry into the industry, I believe that it's the latest number I've seen are just over 20% in terms of female coming into the industry. When we look actually at how females are progressing through the levels from individual contributor to manager to exec, it starts unfortunately to dive off. This is one of the things that we'll be talking as well about.
Yeah, so obviously a lot needs to be done here. Right, these are some great practices. How do you find that you attract and retain new talent pools?
I think that we need to start taking some slightly more innovative approaches towards talent recruitment and retention. So I would like people to be thinking about aptitude rather than actual skills. The skills can be learned. I think the aptitude is really important to get people coming into the workplace who have the right way of thinking, the right attitudes, the right ambition, the right creativity, the right innovation, and the skills themselves can then be learned. And that way you get a much wider talent pool. I think why this is important is that it makes business sense to have a diverse workforce. The more your workforce represents the society that you're trying to serve in whichever way it is, the better your business outcomes are going to be.
Yeah, that makes sense. What do you think, Marianne?
I again, fully agree with what Rachel was saying. Yeah. I would just add as well that I think it's absolutely critical that we make sure that we're building a diverse pipeline. So what I've seen often happen is that you open up a job role and you don't necessarily get the diversity in the pipeline, and we have to continue as leaders to insist that there is a diverse pipeline. And then as we get female talent coming into the recruitment process, also address that with a diverse perspective as well. So making sure that interview panels are diverse, making sure that we actually have some of our diverse leadership throughout the organization interviewing the entire candidate pool as well. And as we get talent on board, that we also then reflect that in how we continue to develop and promote women as well through the organization. So one thing is bringing women in, but the other thing is making sure that we also reflect that diverse perspective as well as we go through and develop and promote as well.
And how do you reach people that might not have considered tech as a career choice at all?
One thing that's hugely important is having the right role models out there, and that's role models in every sense, not just from a gender perspective. And I think that it's very difficult to find people that appear to be truly relevant to new and young people thinking about coming into this sector. So that's a really critical thing. Where are the role models that will start to really speak to the type of pipeline and talent that we want to see?
And why do you think that maybe women aren't going into tech in the same numbers as men are?
I think there are multiple reasons for that, and it's a very complex issue, but we know that girls' interest in STEM subjects goes down as they hit puberty, around about the age of 13 and 14. I think there's an issue of stereotypes. I think there's also an issue that young girls don't necessarily understand how central technology now is to absolutely every sector, every industry and every type of role. All roles require some form of understanding of technology, not necessarily to be a technical person. I don't have a techie background. No. You don't have to have that, but you need to have an understanding of how technology advances whatever it is that you're trying to deliver. So I think we need to be much broader in the way we talk about tech to young people. We need to get more diverse role models to start to speak to young people and start to break those stereotypes. This isn't about being a nerdy man.
And I think that's, we're starting to see that happen. I think that's absolutely correct, and it is a really exciting place to be. The tech industry is really dynamic, it's very innovative, and it really has an impact across the board as well. So making sure that we get young girls actually from a very, very early age interested and excited, get them exposed to the fact that the technology provides for a variety of roles. It is no longer about being the geek in the corner. It's actually front, right and center of every single digital transformation that our customers are driving. And that's a key thing. The other thing I would say is that we also want to make sure that on the company side, we're opening ourselves up to new talent pools. I was very fortunate to be part of bringing in our first female sales team in Saudi. And by that, actually being able to tap into an incredible talented talent pool there. So as companies, we need to also challenge ourselves and as leaders as well to think about where can we go where we haven't been, for looking for talent beforehand. In fact, this week was a massive step forward. Female can now drive in Saudi, so it's incredible to see. And that's a whole level of talent that, generally we haven't tapped into. So I think it's both about attracting new talent pools, but it's also about looking for places where we haven't gone before.
And once you're actually working in tech, how would you advise people to be able to progress their career?
In tech, everything is changing constantly, so people need to be keeping up to date with new trends. So they do need to understand that this isn't a static industry or static sector. So I think having internal peer-to-peer mentoring groups really helps. And there's lots of research to show that peer-to-peer support is often more effective and more valuable almost than more senior level, more hierarchical forms of mentoring or support. So I think that's really important. I think involving local businesses and perhaps even local graduates and undergraduates from local universities, so that there's a whole range of different perspectives on tech that are brought into the workspace. So whether those are seminars and roundtables or whatever, or formal training groups, or the workforce going out and spending some time with other people, I think it's just exposure to as many different ideas about where tech is going as possible. That way it keeps it fresh, it keeps it exciting, it keeps it innovative, and it gives people some motivation.
And just to add into Rachel, there's a lot of companies nowadays that are doing a lot, and Puppet is one of them, in terms of making sure that there are mentor groups, not just within the companies, but outside as well. So making sure that we're offering up facilities, offices for females to come in and work together and get the mentorship that they need. Like you say, I also believe it doesn't have to be a hierarchical piece. It actually should be more cross-disciplinary as well. And I certainly, for sure, I have 3 children, and we all know that women go through different stages in their lives, and sometimes you need different types of mentors through those stages. So I think the fact that you get mentorships, you have the role models, and then I think the other thing that we need to make sure is that everybody has their own plan. So I think one thing that often is left out is that everybody needs to own their own career and make sure that it's paced in a way that actually fits into life, as opposed to just being that left, at the very end. But that's a really key thing. I think that women, we always talk about, can you have it all?
Do you think we can?
I think that we can have it all, but not at the same time. And I think that's the real thing that we need to kind of learn better, is how do we pace our careers in a way that actually allow us to be the women that we want to be.
Do you think tech is an accommodating industry in terms of like women coming back into the workforce after taking a break, maybe to have children or do something else?
I would say that I think it is. So I'm just speaking for myself and certainly the women I support, and I think that it's getting a lot better. I don't think it was, so I spent several years in Silicon Valley, and it was not expected necessarily that you would necessarily come back, or that you would come back and expect different working hours or maybe less working hours. I think now there's a lot more room for women to come back at a different pace, and I think it opens up opportunities that we haven't seen in the past.
Something that I've noticed is I think the industry itself is becoming more open to women returners. I think one of the problems though for women returners is the pace of change that is so fast. So actually women returners who anyway might have some issues of confidence and so on in terms of coming back into the workforce after having taken a significant break may also feel that they don't have the skills to keep up with their peers. So I think we need to be really clear about how we're supporting women and other people to come back into the workforce. I think whether those are ex-military service people, whether those are ex-offenders, you know, how do we help these cohorts of people where there is huge amounts of talent, of latent talent, who might never have thought of a role in tech? How do we find those? It's your point, Marianne, about going out and finding and looking for the right people, but then giving them the inevitable support that they need, not only to boost their confidence, but to give them the skills that means it's a level playing field when they come back in.
Training, I think is
training,
key.
and exposure and awareness, because this is an incredibly exciting place to be, and it's just that it's moving unbelievably fast, and I think that's one of the things that, you know, attracts us all to the industry itself.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel, and thank you, Marianne, for joining us today and giving us your insights in working in technology. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.